bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
What up? Fade to Black. Sounds good, don't it? Bespoke radio for the masses. Today is Wednesday, January 13th, 13 days into the new year. Just 352 days left. We are live from downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, KGRA, and TalkNetwork.com. I'm your oh so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Got a great show tonight. Tonight, very special guest, Vic Mignogna of Star Trek Continues. That's right. Captain Kirk is here. Call the numbers 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in Fade to Black and the number 14. All right. Tomorrow night is Fader night. Taking your calls, open lines all night long. And just for you, tomorrow night, Ronnie McMullen of Life Change Tea is going to join me on the program to answer your questions about Life Change Tea. And we're going to talk a little UFOs, too, and then take your calls all night long. Tomorrow night, Ronnie McMullen right here. I don't know if he's going to be on the show the whole night. I don't know if he can hang that long. Maybe we should test him. You can go to Life Change Tea right now, getthetea.com. You want to feel better? You want to change your life? Do what I do. Getthetea.com. Ronnie's going to have some specials for the Fadernauts tomorrow night. And there you go. All right, let's get this show cracking. Excited. Man, I checked. I checked yesterday. We are just 2 weeks away from the NAMM show. I was like, oh, man. The 21st, it's like next week. Today's the 13th. Next week, I'm going to be at the NAMM show with Studio Dome, so come on down. If you are going to be at the NAMM show, I want to hear from you, you Fadernauts. Just shoot me an email, jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Let me know if you're going to be at the NAMM show. And Studio Dome has a booth there, and we'll be hanging out. So if you want to stop by the Studio Dome booth, I'll be there, and come and hang out with us. All right. And one of the things, Alien Snowfest is coming up February 5th. And I was thinking about this today, and it's really a weird twist on Alien Snowfest. Alien Snowfest is an opportunity for you up close and personal, man, to come and actually hang out with your favorite authors and researchers one-on-one. You know, this is going to be great. This isn't tens of thousands of people. You know, this is a little bit more intimate. And now, tomorrow night on the show, and I want you to think about this before you go and pull the trigger, I'm going to be giving away some passes for Alien Snowfest tomorrow night. And if so, before you say, yeah, I want those passes, make sure you can go, because there are plenty of people out there that would like to go that can make it. That if you win passes and can't go, then you're depriving somebody else of that opportunity. So I'm going to do that tomorrow night. I'm going to give away some passes. And so just make sure that you can go. If you can go, I'm going to get you in. You've got your in. And then, of course, right after that is the 14th Annual Conscious Life Expo. I was speaking to Mike Barra earlier today, and, and he posted, this is what I'm doing this year. And I totally agree. I mean, it's like back-to-back. Alien Snowfest, Conscious Life Expo, and then Contact in the Desert. All West Coast, left coast stuff going on back-to-back. 3 great events. Come to all of them. Come hang out with us. And 2 of them we're going to be broadcasting live. One of them, Alien Snowfest, I'm going to host the luncheon on that Saturday. And I'm also going to interview Mike Barra that Friday night, right at the end of the opening ceremonies. So you're definitely going to want to check out all 3 events. And so with that, let's get the show cracking. I'm excited about the show tonight. Been talking about it all week. And so more on that in just a bit. But today, and this kind of caught me by surprise, but Suggs is 55 years old today. I can't believe it. 55. The lead singer from Madness. One step beyond. Suggs, 55. And that just takes me right back to my childhood, just like Star Trek. One step beyond Madness. Those early days of MTV. You remember what that was like when you never changed the channel. It stayed on MTV 24 hours a day, driving your parents crazy. And it just stayed on MTV. And what you got was Madness, like 2 times an hour. 4 o'clock in the morning, you got MTV on. There was Madness, one step beyond. Julia Louis-Dreyfus today is also 55. And she doesn't make the list because of Seinfeld. No. She makes the list because of Veep. Yep. Love that series. And season 5 is going to premiere this April 24th, right in the middle of election season. So that's going to be interesting. And I think it's a great show. Love it. And Gary Cole slays in it, by the way. Orlando Bloom, today's 39, will always make the cut. Why? Because he's Legolas. That's why. Follow me on Twitter, @JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. Come hang out in the Sandbox. Sandbox is, I can already predict, tonight it is going to be slammed. The Sandbox is #F2B. That's what you want to do. That is the Sandbox. Tonight, very special guest, Vic Mignogna of Star Trek Continues. That's right. Captain Kirk is going to be here. Did you do your homework last night? Did you go and get yourself some Star Trek Continues? It's all there online. You can go. It's free. It's a great website. Did you go and do it? Because that's who is on the show tonight. On this day in history, in 1128, on this day, Pope Honorius II grants a papal sanction to the military order known as the Knights Templar, declaring it to be an army of God. 1128. 200 years later, Friday to the 13th, we know what happened. Fader fact. India has more people using the internet right now than the entire population of the United States. That is a Fader fact. All right. Let's go. The 60s were a magical time for television. Things changed. The nation and the world went from black and white to color. It was a great time for television. We had the space race. We had music changing everything. Not only the Beatles, but we had Jimi Hendrix, and we had Woodstock and Led Zeppelin and the Andy Williams Show, Sonny and Cher. We had the Tonight Show. The Flintstones went from black and white to color. We had Batman. And and we had Star Trek. Just like everybody else, I never forgot watching the original series, as it has become to be known. The term original series has been accepted in popular culture when referring to Star Trek, the original series. You know what happened? All of the spin-offs happened and everything else and the movies and everything. But everybody, when anybody ever said the original series, we knew what they were referring to. Star Trek. For some reason, and I'm not sure why, all of the other Star Trek spin-offs never really grabbed hold of me. And after the first Star Trek films with the original cast, I just lost interest. The rest of the country did. They got it. And it was just one series after another. But I didn't. I tried. Well, you know what? I tried for a few minutes. But I didn't get it. And I was okay with that. There was the Star Wars side of life in society. There was the Trekkies on the other side. And I was kind of in the middle. But for me, I wanted the original series. I'm sure that some of the spin-offs were good. Maybe some of it was even great. I don't know. I just never took the time to find out. To me, and this is just me speaking, it seemed too polished. And it seemed like they tried too hard. And I think they missed it. But that's me. There was something about the original series, TOS, the original series. It was the story. It was the low-tech, but yet high-tech feel. We had that campy side of it, the kitschy look, the feel. Yet a genuine look into the future was happening, and it was dreamlike for me. When Captain Kirk was down on a planet and the look of it, it felt like a dream, and I was okay. The bridge of the Enterprise, was it high tech? Was it 2001: A Space Odyssey? No, it was not, and we knew that, and we were okay. It felt like a dream. It took us to another place. And sometimes that's exactly what you need to do that. It doesn't have to be over the top, high tech, perfect, hardcore storylines and technology. It doesn't have to be that if it's a good story. And that's what Star Trek, the original series, TOS, gave us. It took us somewhere else. Part of that was the 60s. But you have to have a good story. And if you have a good story, it doesn't matter about everything else. And then came Galaxy Quest. I have to go there. Sure, it was a comedy, but it also embraced exactly what the fans were like and what the fans wanted and what appealed to the fans. The kitschiness of Galaxy Quest, it grasped exactly the appeal of the original Star Trek, didn't it? And the fans and the uniforms and it just the thing. And we were okay with that. And yeah, it was a comedy, but Galaxy Quest showed us that it's okay because that's exactly what we embraced. And if you think about it, I'm right. And that's why I love Galaxy Quest, actually. Which brings me to Star Trek Continues. Although I've heard about other fan-based productions out there, and we all have, and they touch upon that in Galaxy Quest. And if you remember, there was a scene when Tim Allen said, I've got an appointment. My agent booked me to be in some kid's garage in the valley in Van Nuys, right? and he mentions, I think, my memory, it's a cardboard set or whatever. And that's exactly what I have heard over the years about these fan-based productions. And I know that there's a lot out there. So when I heard about Star Trek Continues, I didn't want to check it out. Why? I didn't want to be bummed. The memories, the fond memories I have of Star Trek, TOS, the original series, I want those intact. I don't want those tarnished. I didn't want to see some cardboard set in somebody's garage. No matter what the passion, no matter what the story, no matter what was involved, and it could have been great, but I just didn't want to check it out. But someone had told me about Star Trek Continues, and that I had to check it out. You have to go and peep this out. And I get this stuff all the time in my email. I get it all the time. And there's only so much I can watch in a week. There's only so much time in the day. So I just don't have the time. But something compelled me to click. And I did. Which brings me to the show tonight. There's something about Star Trek Continues. I don't know what it is. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. But there's something there. There's an intrinsic value. An intangible. There's something there. And it makes me feel like I've discovered something. It makes me feel like I've planted a flag. And that I'm compelled now to shout it out to the world. Hey, come check this out. You've got to check this out. And I've done just that. I've talked to my friends in the media. I've turned them on to this because I know that they're going to appreciate it. They're going to see it right out of the gate. And I know that they're going to come back to me going, dude, thank you for discovering this. And that's the way that I feel. I really, really do. Should you check this out? Yes, you should. If you haven't, go. It is all that. There's something going on. Whether it is something on the set, or is it the story? Is it the actors? Is it the passion? Is it a combination of everything? I don't know. But if you're a fan of Star Trek, you're going to get that out of this series. Our guest tonight is Vic Mignogna. He's the creative force behind Star Trek Continues. Tonight, I'm going to find out why I'm so compelled to bring him on this show. Why I am so compelled to bring you the story behind the series. I need to know because I don't know what it is. Tonight, our guest is Vic Mignogna. Now, let's get to some of the news that you know nothing about. A video aired today by Iranian state television that shows an American sailor apologizing for entering Iranian waters. And it was truly an embarrassing development for the United States administration, trying to paint the service members' quick release as a diplomatic victory. And I'm quoting here, it was a mistake that was our fault, and we apologize for our mistake, said the sailor, who was identified by Iran's press TV as the commander. And he goes on to say, it was a misunderstanding. We did not mean to go into the Iranian territorial water. The Iranian behavior was fantastic while we were here. Thank you very much for your hospitality and your assistance. Something just feels a little fishy here. I'll get to that in a second. But in addition to all of that, a CENTCOM official said today, clearly this is a staged video, and it exhibits a sailor making an apology to an unknown context as an effort to defuse a tense situation and to protect his crew, end quote. What is strange about this is we have billions and billions of dollars sitting on the table waiting to go that direction. That is Iran. And this agreement between the Six Nations is about to kick off. And then we have this. There's something amiss here. The mass media is a tool right now to make us okay with what's about to happen. Tens of billions of dollars is going to flow in that direction. It's very, very, very strange. I was completely offended to see our sailors, our boys, on their knees with their hands behind their head. If it was some friendly thing, if it was some friendly situation, none of that happens. And you don't parade them and you don't show the video. You don't do it, do you? You know, so what was going on out there? Was there supposed to be an attack? Was there supposed to be some kind of exchange of gunfire? Was there, you know, was our boat supposed to be sunk? Was that it? I don't know. That seems like you're pushing it a little bit too far. But the thought does enter the mind, doesn't it? And then you flip it over and you look, if it was supposed to be friendly, then why aren't the Iranians just towing their boat to safety? Why aren't they allowing our Navy to come in and get the boat and get out of there? What are you doing putting the sailors on their knees with their hands behind their heads if it wasn't supposed to be hostile? I'm just saying we're not being told the truth here. I don't know what the truth is. I don't. But it feels funky to me, and I feel offended. The hacking collective Anonymous has continued its anti-whaling campaign against Japan, taking down the main global website for Nissan. Now, both Nissan.co.jp and the NissanGlobal.com domains are still offline as of this show tonight, and it was a denial of service attack by Anonymous. Now, Anonymous, which has thousands of self-identified member hackers across the world, is currently working several campaigns protesting different political issues, as well as fighting ISIS. I mean, you know what? I like Anonymous. That's all I got to say. I will never be offended by what they do. So, anyway, moving on. After 21 years, it happened. It happened yesterday. Yes, we don't do sports on this show anymore, but I can't help but be compelled to shout that Los Angeles is not getting one team, but two. The National Football League owners voted yesterday to approve the relocation of the St. Louis Rams, with the San Diego Chargers given the option to join the team and return pro football to Los Angeles in 2016. 21 long years. The NFL announced that the Rams will move to Inglewood, California. They're going to play at the Coliseum, by the way, for the first season, maybe two, while the Chargers have an option to move through January 16th, 2017. If the Chargers don't move by that time, the Oakland Raiders are going to get the preference. The owner's final vote in this, 30-2. Feel bad for the people of St. Louis because we lost the Raiders and twice, and the Rams back to back, and we were left without a team. Look, I like sports. I like the NFL, but how can you have the second largest market in the world right here without a team for 21 years? Now we don't get one, we get two. The Rams, I get it. Los Angeles Rams, I get it. It makes sense. Feel bad for the people of St. Louis who have been proud of their team. Hey, man, won some Super Bowls. Did their thing there. But the Rams are coming back for 2016. They're going to play in the Coliseum, and then they're going to build a stadium right there in Inglewood, and there you go. And the NFL wants both teams to play in the same stadium, so the Rams and the Chargers have to work out everything. Who gets the locker rooms? Stuff like that. For nearly 2 years, boats dragging high-tech detection devices across the Indian Ocean have failed to solve the mystery of the whereabouts of Flight 370. We know this, but did you know they can't find 370, but they have found 2 lost shipwrecks from the 1800s? Yeah, I'm not making this up. Can't find an Airbus, but we found 2 sunken ships that have been missing since the 1800s. That is a mystery. Talk about a conspiracy. Man, I talk about conspiracies all the time. 9/11, Vietnam, you can just, whatever. They're just going, Illuminati, whatever. There's things going on around us all the time. But MH370, somebody knows something. Somebody knows. And the more that I think about it, the more that I just put my brain to this, it's Rolls-Royce and Airbus. Those two companies know. They know exactly when, where, what, and why. They do. Why isn't that information out there? Why haven't they come forward? I'm just saying. If you want proof of a conspiracy, look no further than MH370. All right. It's official, folks. Just to let you know. You have lived to see the day that your television is now so smart it can be hijacked. Yes, and traditional PC problems with malware and ransomware are just a couple of clicks away to being a problem on your television set. The year has only just begun, but already 2 separate security research firms have released updates about TV-based malware. One type that isn't really meant for TVs, and one type that is going to keep bothering users unless they become extremely vigilant with their smart TV security. On the 6th of January, Reddit posted that someone had managed to get a virus on their LG smart television through the TV's built-in web browser. Security firm Kaspersky Lab was intrigued by the post and decided to investigate. They discovered that the malware was not specifically targeting the smart TV, but instead was designed to work on any device that had a web browser on it. Security research firm Trend Micro recently found that many Android-based smart TVs are still running an older version of Android before Lollipop 5.0. And malicious apps that abuse a flaw within these old versions of Android to hijack smart TVs to quietly install and serve other malware onto the TV. Yes, it's arrived. And what about that smart refrigerator? I talk about it all the time. If you stop and think about it. Think about this for a second. We allow this into our lives. We do. I get it. I embrace the internet. I understand. But just imagine if your refrigerator gets shut down and you got to pay $200 to some kid in a basement somewhere to get your food back. Think about that for a second. They got you, man. I think we need to stop right now. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Vic Mignogna, is here. Star Trek continues. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'll be back right after this short break with Vic Mignogna, and that's it. We're going to find out why I am so compelled to shout to the world about Star Trek continues. It's Fade to Black on KGRA, The Planet, and TalkNetwork.com. We'll be back right after this short break. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. Doesn't matter where you live.
Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on KGRA, The Planet, TalkNetwork.com, the Game Changer Network. Let's do this. I'm excited. I'm fired up. Vic Mignogna has been acting from the age of 8 all the way through college, where he majored in film and minored in theater. Vic has been in countless professional stage and film productions, but perhaps is best known as a prolific voice actor for over 200 animated series and video games, including Full Metal Alchemist, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and many more. As a young boy, like everybody else, Vic fell in love with Star Trek and is realizing his boyhood dream to play the role of Captain Kirk. Tonight, we're going to discuss the making of Star Trek Continues, Vic's role as Captain Kirk, and the impact of Star Trek in popular culture. I would like to welcome to Fade to Black, Vic Mignogna. Vic, welcome to Fade to Black. How are you, man?
Jimmy Church, how you doing, baby?
Hey, stop it, man. Stop it. Hey, and Vic, and welcome to the program. Let me get the disclosure out of the way, the disclaimer, which is this is just you and I sitting on my couch. We're friends. We're going to talk. We're going to have fun. And we're going to end as friends. Let's do this. That's the disclaimer. Welcome to Fade to Black.
Absolutely. Happy to be here, Jimmy.
Now, listen, and thank you for coming on the show. Let me get that out of the way first, because what I didn't want to do, and I know you encounter this day in and day out, Trekkies, fanboys, fangirls coming at you from all directions. I know you deal with it, and I didn't want to come off that way, and I was so paranoid that you were going to ignore, the invitation to come on the show, because, and I was so reticent to say what I wanted to say in my email to you. I didn't want to do that and have you just.
You know what? I got to tell you, man. Even after 15 or 20 years working in the business, I never cease to be honored and kind of surprised. Oh, you like what I do? You know what I mean? Oh, you like my work? I get so excited always to meet people who enjoy stuff that I'm doing. So thank you for that, and I'm happy to chat with you about it as much as you want.
Well, I had said, and thank you, but I had said in the intro of the show that the 60s were truly, a magical time for television, where, we went from black and white to color.
Yeah.
And it just opened it up for everybody. And then we had really cool things like Batman and the Flintstones and, Sonny and Cher. We had all of this magical time for television. And then, boom, Star Trek comes along, and it flipped me out as a kid, and it took me to another place. And I didn't care about the look and the feel, or it was the story.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it pulled me in. Did it have the same effect on you as a kid?
Absolutely. You know, I got to tell you, a couple of months ago, I was walking along the sidewalk and I was thinking about what we're working on right now with Star Trek Continues. And some voice in the back of my head said, "Why do you love Captain Kirk so much? Why does this show mean so much to you?" And I realized that I discovered the original series of Star Trek right at exactly the same time that my parents divorced. When I was 9 or 10 years old, my dad was gone, and there was this handsome, strong, leader of men and brave and Captain Kirk. And he kind of became like a father figure, like a role model. And then I would come home every day from school and I would watch these episodes and I would sit there and I would do things that I had never done before. Like I would gather all the bits and pieces of things I could find around the house and I would try to build a phaser. Or I would take all the duct tape and styrofoam and plastic and balsa wood I could find to make a communicator. And then I would get my mom to teach me to use a sewing machine so I could make my own uniforms. And then, Jimmy, I would round up the kids in the neighborhood and get my parents' 8mm movie camera and shoot little Star Trek episodes when I was 10 and 11 and 12 years old. This show inspired me to try creative things that I had never tried before. And now, decades later, I've developed and built the skills in filmmaking and acting and lighting and directing and makeup and costumes and all of that. And I have the enormous privilege to combine it with the childhood love that started the inspiration in the first place.
There's something there. There's another character. Yeah, we can talk about Spock or McCoy, and we can do Chekhov. We can do that till the cows come home. But the other character in Star Trek was the Enterprise.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And that's and I want to address that kind of out of the gate a little bit, because that's the other cast member in Star Trek Continues that is there for all of us. And in reference to the Enterprise, Jimmy, when I started this series, I approached someone who is arguably Star Trek royalty. Doug Drexler. Yes,
is known as a staple of Star Trek fandom and has worked professionally on Star Trek Next Generation and all the subsequent series. And I approached him and I said, "Doug, would you be willing to model our Enterprise for our series?" And Doug said to me, "Vic, I've really had my fill of fan productions. I've worked with, some in the past and left a bad taste in my mouth, and I really am over it. I did it, been there, done that kind of thing." And I said, "Okay, I respect that." And we shot our first episode, Pilgrim of Eternity, which was a sequel to the original episode about the Greek god Apollo. When I went over to Doug Drexler's house one day and I showed him the rough cut of that episode, he looked at me and said, "Holy shit."
Right.
I had no idea that that it was going to be this good. And he turned to me and he said, "If you still want me to work with you on your Enterprise, I would be happy to." And he literally said, "I'll do it for this first episode." And he did it for the first one. And then we shot Lolani and he loved it. And then we shot Fairest of Them All. And then we shot The White Iris. And then Divided We Stand. And now we're into episode 6. We're in post-production for that. Come Not Between the Dragons. And Doug Drexler is a very, very big, valuable part of our crew. And he's one of our producers. And I am so honored and tickled pink that he's a part of it.
Before, I don't want to jump ahead. I want to discuss actually each episode separately, because they're all completely unique, and that's really cool. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. In the casting, how do I want to say this? I would cut off my right arm, okay, to be cast in this. And now, do you find that, was it easy to cast, or was it difficult to cast? Without a big network behind you, and you've got to pitch your friends, and I know that your friends are involved, but
yes. Well, let me say, first of all, I'm going to say something that a lot of my friends have heard me say. I never wanted to make Star Trek Continues with a bunch of industry professionals.
Okay.
I wanted to make it with friends. I wanted to make it with people that I loved, people that I'd worked with, people that I knew and liked, because anybody that works on this series will tell you, and some of them are even listening right now, they'll tell you that what we have at our studio with Star Trek Continues is very much of a family. We have an amazingly wonderful time when we get together. We all just love hanging around with each other, but at the same time, we accomplish, quality episodes. And usually you have to give up one for the other, I mean, either you have a really great time cutting up and laughing and you don't get anything done, or you hunker down and you shoot and you stay on schedule and you beat everybody up real hard to get the thing done, and by the end of the day everybody just can't wait to go their separate ways and get away from each other. But we've got a very, very unique combination with this production, and the people that work on it will tell you that. But back to your question, I worked with some other fan productions, and the one thing that I remembered thinking was, I felt like it could be done so much better in so many different levels. And one of the largest, I think one of the biggest areas that I thought could be improved was the acting. Because, I mean, let's be honest, you can be a fan of something and you could even have a lot of money and you could make costumes and build sets and shoot video. Shoot an episode, but if you don't have any acting experience or background or skill, then the acting, the quality of the story may suffer. And I've seen that happen with a lot of other fan productions. And so from the very beginning, I purposed in my mind, I am going to get actors to play these roles. Now, not necessarily strangers, but actors. And because I have some very, very good friends, voice actor friends, who are actors first and foremost, Todd, who plays Spock, and Chuck, who plays McCoy, and Michelle, who plays McKenna, and then, of course, Chris Doohan. How can you go wrong with having Chris Doohan playing his father's role? And Kim Stinger and Grant Imahara. And because it's Star Trek, we've been able to attract a lot of really great guest stars. These are people that I've done signing conventions with. I do a lot of Comic-Con style conventions where I'll be there signing autographs as a voice actor, but I'll make friends with people like Lou Ferrigno or Aaron Gray or Colin Baker or any number of people, Jamie Bamber. And then I tell them what I'm doing and I show them some pictures and they're like, wow, that looks like a lot of fun. And I'll say, it sure is. Why don't you come down and have some fun with us? And we've been very, very fortunate to get a lot of good people involved.
How did you get there's a few things that you do in spades in Star Trek Continues. And I can't imagine the passion and the attention to detail that has to go into that because okay, let me get to the point. The look and feel of a 60s actor. I don't know how you got everybody to do their homework. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then and it's the simple cuts that you do for facial expressions when nobody is saying anything.
Right.
It is for a TOS fan, they see that and the familiarity of it all is right there. The things that you loved about the original series, those little details are painstaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I will tell you this. Lisa Hansel and Tim Vidito, who are our makeup supervisors, do an amazing job with hair and makeup to recreate that style. Ginger Holly and Hannah Baruchi and the wardrobe team do an amazing job recreating the not only costumes that you would have seen on the original series, but new costumes. What if we have a new character? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
you've got to have something new designed, but it needs to feel like it belongs in that era.
Right.
And so, you know, that's a big part of the look as far as the characters are concerned. But as far as the cutting of it, I got to tell you, Jimmy, I absorbed this series when I was a little boy. I watched it so intently when I was young, and even took a cassette recorder and would record the episodes on an audio cassette, and then I would slide the tape player underneath my pillow at night and listen to the episodes. And I felt like I knew them so well and understood what made them special. And, you know, I've just had the privilege to bring several people together. Ralph Miller is an amazing sound guy, and he knows more about Star Trek than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes all of the amazing sound effects. And you know, Casey Shafsky, our unit production manager, Matt Busey, our director of photography, he and I sat down from the very beginning and said, okay, what makes Star Trek look like Star Trek? Because, Jimmy, they don't light shows like that anymore.
No, they don't.
They don't light television like they lit Star Trek in the late 60s. So, you know, examining all of these different elements of production and replicating them in a way that they would have had they not been canceled in 1969 has been our primary goal.
You have the lack of depth of field, right? You have the 4:3 aspect ratio,
right?
And you have the colors that are involved. And then once you get all of that, you can get all of that, but you still have to act campy. Is that the right word? I don't want to offend, but is that the
well? You know, I mean, you know, campy doesn't typically hit people as a complimentary word, but I know what you're talking about.
You know exactly where I'm going.
It's kind of a hyper realistic kind of acting. It's just a notch, you know what I mean? A notch or two up from just normal reality. But you know what? It's entertaining, bro. You know, I mean, there's a reason we're talking about Star Trek 50 years later.
There is a reason.
And I believe, in my opinion, Jimmy, it's story. That is, my people that work on my show with me will tell you, James Kerwin and Stephen Dengler and the people that are on the production team will tell you that for me, it is all about story. I pick the stories. Several of the stories I've written. I've script edited the screenplays, because what is absolutely, unquestionably the most important thing that makes Star Trek are the stories of moral dilemma and ethical questions and social issues. Those kind of things is what made the original series so wonderful. And it's what's been lost nowadays.
What is before we move on, what is the appeal? It is stronger today than it was in 1969, and that is an amazing statement on its own.
Well, I think in 1969, people didn't realize what they were looking at. It was so different, and they just didn't get it. And to be honest with you, contrary to popular opinion, the ratings of the original series were very good. And what ended up happening was the studio that was making Star Trek, the network that was broadcasting Star Trek, felt like it cost too much money. It was the most expensive show on television at $115,000 per episode, and which is well over $1 million now. And apparently they didn't like having to deal with Roddenberry. They didn't like they were really frustrated by the whole process, and so they killed it. They kept putting it in crummier and crummier time slots and cutting their budget until they ultimately just canceled it. But I think people today, even now, and over the last 50 years, have recognized that the stories of the human condition stories of moral quandaries, of ethical questions. These are as real for us, Jimmy, as they were 50 years ago, and they're not going to change. Human beings are human beings. We have the same challenges. We have the same frailties. We're still the same. And what I love about Star Trek is that they're human stories. They just happen to be set in space. And I think that's one of the things that's kept it alive all these years.
How did you, we're going to be up against a break, so I want to get some logistical stuff out of the way.
Let me say this. Anybody that thinks that Star Trek is about fighting Klingons has missed the whole boat.
That's exactly right.
Anybody that thinks that Star Trek is about beaming down or flipping open a communicator or firing phasers has no clue what Star Trek is really about.
No, Lolani is a heavy, these are heavy subjects.
Yeah.
Divided we stand. It doesn't get any more current today.
Oh, my God, right? Yeah, the cost of freedom. Look around,
We're going to get to that. Divided we stand stunned me. It stopped me in my tracks. We're going to get to that. How did you get to the point of being able to make the first episode? There's a lot of money involved. There's logistics. You got to build the set. You got to put everybody together. It's a huge undertaking. How were you able to pull that off? Was it racking up credit cards?
Well, let me tell you this. When I decided I wanted to do this, a lot of people encouraged me to launch a Kickstarter. And my feeling about that was that it would be unethical for me to ask people to give me money to do something that I had not proven I could do. And so I thought, you know what? If there was ever a time to put your money where your mouth is, Vic, this is it. So I took my own savings and put them toward renting a building. My dear friend Stephen Dengler threw in some money to help rent the building, and then I proceeded to spend probably $60,000 to $70,000 to build the sets and get the first episode shot. In other words, I flew everybody down. I paid to put them in hotel rooms. I paid to buy everybody food. I paid for everything related to the first episode, Pilgrim of Eternity. And once we got that one done, I felt like we had a good proof of concept, if you will. Mm-hmm. Something to show people to say, okay, this isn't pie in the sky. This isn't me saying what I'm going to do if you give me money. This is what we've done, and I've done it with my own money, and if you will help us now, we'll make more. And we launched a Kickstarter to raise enough money to make 3 more episodes, Jimmy, and that's exactly what we did in short order, efficiently, and with quality. And then this past February, we launched another Kickstarter. Last February, we launched another Kickstarter to do 2 more episodes and build the engineering section, which had never been done. And again, we did exactly what we said we were going to do in very short order, efficiently, and with quality. And we're getting ready to launch another one very soon to help us continue with what we're doing. But that's how the whole financial thing started. I've put well over $100,000 now myself personally into the production because to me, it's my dream. You know, Jimmy, some people spend their excess money on, buying jet skis or going to Italy or, you know what I mean? Or taking a vacation or whatever. And, whatever you don't spend on your bills, you spend on something that gives you joy. And this gives me great joy. I'm very happy to spend excess money to get this production off the ground. And fortunately, there are hundreds of thousands of people out there that have been enjoying it. I'm very gratified.
I was hoping when I first jumped into it and was looking at the outtakes and the set walkthrough that it was right here in Burbank. I was looking forward to hanging out on the set. Talking my way into doing a walk-on. I was all excited. But
well, you know what's funny? I would give anything to have these sets nearby. I mean, probably 80% of our production team, crew, cast live here in Los Angeles. The problem is that it would be completely financially impossible to do this here. It costs so much more. Our studio, we have an 18,000 square foot facility in South Georgia. It's a wonderful little town in Georgia, just across the Florida-Georgia state line. And what it costs us to have it there, we could never do in a large city. So it actually is more cost effective to fly everybody in twice a year. And it's really a wonderful little town, and we all have a great time going there. We shoot all day, and then we all descend on Applebee's, or we all descend on Wasabi, this amazing Japanese restaurant, this sushi place, or we all descend on Longhorn Steakhouse or the Mill House. Plenty of restaurants, and we love the little town that we're in, and we could never do it in a large city. It'd be cost prohibitive.
You have the joy of having the full set built, and when you see the walkthrough, then you get it, because that's where you get the look and the feel and the ability.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy, have you been on our website lately? Did you see that we now have a virtual tour where you can literally use your arrows on your computer and move through the studio and look around 360 degrees from any position. It's wonderful.
Is there anything, I know you're going to say no, but I just want to hear you say it. Is there anything that you would change on the set?
Well, can I say something about that?
Sure.
I am a stickler for detail.
Okay.
I'm a perfectionist. I want things to be perfect. Now, having said that, oh my gosh, William Smith, our Royal Weaver, Jay Pennington, these guys down there, John Roberts that work on the sets, Scott Granger, they are so amazing and are such sticklers for making things just right. But let me say this, and this is where a lot of fan productions fall short. The sets are great. It's great to have authentic, accurate sets. But at the end of the day, they're just a backdrop. What people ultimately want to see is what happens in front of the camera, in front of the sets. I mean, anybody that has lumber, anybody that has a Home Depot and some money can build sets. And when the sets first come on the screen, you as the viewer look around the sets, your eyes dart around the set, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at that. It looks just like the original series. And then 30 seconds later, you're over that. Now you want to be told a story.
Right.
You see my point?
Yes.
So even though we are big fans and we want to make things perfect, we want to make everything work, we want to make everything light up and everything, at the end of the day, we got to keep it in perspective. And that is, if it looks good enough for television, the most important thing is that the story is solid and that the actors are solid and we tell the viewers a good story.
My guest tonight is Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network, KGRA, and TalkNetwork.com. More with Vic, and Star Trek continues right after this. When I get back, I got to talk about Todd, Chuck, Chris, Grant, Kim, Wyatt, and how the heck did he find Michelle Specht? I'm going to find out all of that right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
People love to shop. What if you could shop and it was actually good for you? What if you could actually purchase items that bettered your life? What goes into your body is important to what quality of life you have. How about shopping for items that better your health? GetTheT.com is that shopping place. We're not only tea, even though that's our number one seller, we are about helping your health. There's Colostrum LD for those of you with autoimmune troubles. The product helps your stomach get on track. GI problems produce pain. Get relief with Colostrum LD. How about some fat burners? Or maybe some joint aid? Or a power cleanse? There's so much to tell you with very little time. So get help health-wise at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Or you can call our friendly operators at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Get help and relief by going shopping. Shop at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Serving people with great products for over 8 years. GetTheT.com.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight is Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues. Now, Vic, casting is always critical, but with Todd Haberkorn and Chuck Huber and Chris Doohan, they truly are coming into their own on this series. But and I want to talk about that. But with Todd, he's probably got more responsibility and bigger. I mean, that's a tough role. You know,
it is. And you know what? Todd and I are very dear friends. He's like a younger brother to me. I love him to death. And he really wanted to play this role. And I said, you know, Todd, I would love for you to do it, but you're a little young. You're a little bit young. And he said, well, let me audition. And so he made an audition video and sent it to me. And this is how much he wanted to do this. He literally green screened himself into some scenes of the original series.
Oh, right on.
He put on a uniform and pointed ears. And I mean, and he's such a great actor that I thought, you know what? Granted, he's not as old as Leonard was. He was not quite as old as Spock was. but he's a really good actor, and that's what I promised myself first and foremost that I was going to have. And so I had him do it. And he really, I feel like Todd really hit his stride in Fairest of Them All. In the third episode, he just did such an amazing mirror Spock, goatee Spock, and he just gets better all the time. Wait till you see episode 6. He's got some great scenes in episode 6. And by the way, I should say, earlier on I said something about most of our cast and crew lives in Los Angeles. That's actually not entirely true. Most of our cast lives in Los Angeles, but a very good portion of our crew, our production crew, live all over the country, and we all come together to shoot.
How'd you find Chuck? And Chuck is somebody else, believe it or not. In my opinion, he's come into his own in the role. I mean, he's come so far. And you see the development with everybody because of the way that, the stories are and so forth. I get that. Yeah. But Chuck has really landed on his feet.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, see, here's the thing. Todd and Chuck are both voice actor friends of mine. We have done probably between us, we've probably done 100 animated series together. We've been involved in, both Todd and Chuck are in Full Metal Alchemist, they're in Dragon Ball Z, they're in Soul Eater, we've done a lot of shows together, the three of us. And I've known them for a long time. I love them. And they're both actors first and foremost. The best voice actors that you hear are usually people that have a lot of acting experience, first and foremost, like stage, screen kind of stuff. And then they got an opportunity to voice act, and that's how they got into it. But they're actors first and foremost. And let me tell you about Chuck. If you look back on the internet, you'll find that we shot some vignettes. We shot 3 little vignettes before we released our first episode. And it was my way of introducing the world and the Star Trek fan world to us in these roles.
Are you referring to Happy Birthday? And
Happy Birthday, Scotty. You've got the con, right. And then the Turnabout Intruder extension. But in those little vignettes, Chuck Huber was Dr. McCoy. Now, what I'm sure you noticed was that in Pilgrim of Eternity and Lolani, Chuck was not there. And it was because Chuck had a bit of an emergency literally a month before we shot Pilgrim of Eternity. Something came up and it took Chuck out. And so I scrambled to find a Dr. McCoy, and Larry Nemechek, who is well known in the Star Trek fan circles, offered to step in as McCoy and did a fine job, but he kind of took care of the role. And then Chuck came back at the end of Lolani, and he said, "Look, I'm really sorry that I missed out on the first 2, but I would love to get back involved if you want me." And I said, "Absolutely." So Chuck is back in that role, which is where the role I originally had him in. And then, of course, Chris Doohan, I contacted him on Facebook, and I said, "I'm doing this thing. The quality's going to be really good. Would you like to meet me for lunch and let's chat about it?" And we went to lunch, and he liked, we hit it off, and he liked what I showed him and what I had to say. And he's having a great time, and he is channeling his father. And it was, I tell you what, there wasn't a dry eye on the bridge in the very first episode when we walked onto the bridge and watched Chris Doohan walk onto the bridge wearing that uniform. And he looked at everybody with tears in his eyes, and he said, "This is what my dad saw when he looked around. This is what my dad did, almost 50 years ago." It's really a privilege and an honor to have him involved.
Did you ever meet James Doohan?
Yes, I did. I met him when I was a little boy. I met him at a convention. I met him at a Star Trek convention. He and DeForest Kelley and George Takei and Nichelle Nichols and Walter Koenig were all at a convention in Pittsburgh. I grew up in Pittsburgh. And I met them all at a convention when I was very young.
And I only bring that up because I did a little thing with James Doohan, a little Star Trek thing back in the mid '90s. It was a corporate video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so anyway, it was cool. I got to hang out with him for a few days, and then one night we did some drinking at a party. But he was just the coolest guy, like, ever. You know, he was. Yeah,
he was one of those people who truly embraced and appreciated the opportunity, the enormous opportunity and privilege that he had to be a part of something that meant so much to so many people.
Yeah, he was a very cool guy. And
some people don't get that. You know, some people don't get that. But Jimmy Doohan certainly did.
Well, that brings me to you, young man. Okay, now.
Young man, that's funny.
It's kind of funny because I went out and I read a bunch of reviews and critiques and so forth on it, and what I immediately noticed about you was that you did not try to imitate Captain Kirk. You didn't try. I know you're a voice actor. You could have done that. You could, it wasn't that. It was an extension of what Kirk is. You got the mannerisms and, there's a little bit of a look to it, but nobody looks like in the cast like there was no intention there. It was to build on the character.
Right.
And for you, it was, which I think is just brilliant, has nothing to do with the voice. It has to do with your eyebrows, with your facial expressions, and you grasp that in spades. How much of that is intentional, and how much of it is just DNA? It was, you've seen it enough, and it is just natural.
I think it's the latter. I think that I absolutely loved William Shatner as Captain Kirk when I was a little boy. And I absorbed everything he did. I'll tell you this too. When we first shot our very first episode, I took my first AD aside, a first assistant director aside, and I said, listen, if you see me doing too much Shatner, Yes. If you see me doing that, stop me. Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to spoof that. I don't want to do some kind of a mockery. I hold Bill Shatner and this show and that character in way too high a regard to ever do that. So I want people to feel like they're watching the original series. Had it continued into a 4th and 5th season, that has been my goal. And I've told the other actors that as well, that our goal, and my goal is not to make Captain Kirk my own. We don't need another Captain Kirk. Sorry, Chris Pine. We don't need another Captain Kirk. William Shatner defined the role, and I love his portrayal of the character, and I wanted to continue that portrayal. So occasionally, somebody will pull me aside and say, there may have been a little too many pauses in that line. That last scene, you may have paused a little too much, or you may have done a little too much of that thing, and so we'll take the scene again. But it's mostly, I think, just feeling such a lifelong love and affection for the character that makes it kind of naturally come through.
I want to talk about Michelle for a second, if you don't mind. Michelle
Sure.
Specht. Does she know how good she is?
I think she does. She's a very talented actor. I mean, she's a very talented actor. And I tell you what, when she and I talked about what role she would play in this, we started talking about, should you be Nurse Chapel? Should you be Yeoman Rand?
Right.
And then we started talking about, hey, you remember in Next Generation, they had a ship's counselor.
Right.
Everybody had a ship's counselor. Well, when did they start that? And we thought, hey, why don't we make a new character that comes on board as the first experimental ship's counselor? That Starfleet is trying a new program to put a counselor on the ship, and we'll make it like she'll kind of rub Kirk the wrong way because he doesn't think they really need somebody like that. And of course, trying to make her position. And, she is a very, very talented actor, and she's done an amazing job with the character. I tell you what, she may have one of the hardest jobs, because imagine trying to create a new character that would blend in seamlessly with iconic roles like Uhura and Chekhov and Sulu. And I think she's done a really great job with that.
Her facial expressions are priceless. Seriously. And enough. Michelle, you're great. Okay. I don't want to be a fanboy, but Wyatt, I want to talk about Chekhov. Chekhov, it wasn't Chekhov that was the character. It was his voice. And Wyatt's got that. And so was that natural? Did he audition?
You know what? You want to know how I found Wyatt? You're going to love this, Jimmy. I was doing an anime convention appearance. I was signing autographs, and the convention asked me if I wanted to do any particular panels. And apart from a Q&A session and autograph sessions, did I want to do anything else that I was interested in? And I said, why don't we have a Star Trek trivia panel where the fans try to stump me with questions from the original series?
Okay.
And 19 times out of 20, nobody stumps me. I mean, I memorized the show, and I know it really well. So I can't even remember what convention it was at. It may have been a Vegas convention, an anime convention in Las Vegas. And this young 17-year-old boy comes to the convention, and he comes to my stump Vic Mignogna with Star Trek trivia. And he knew all kinds of stuff. And I'm looking at him like, dude, what is with you? You're 17 years old. How can you know so much about the original series? And we hit it off. Now, by the way, this was at least a year before I ever even thought of doing Star Trek Continues.
Interesting.
So when it came time to cast the show, I was trying to think of who I knew, and I couldn't really think of anybody off the bat. And then I went to a convention. And Wyatt was at the convention again. He came as a fan, you understand.
Right.
He was there just as an attendee. And I looked at him and I said to him, can you do a Russian accent? And his eyes kind of lit up. Now, by the way, he has a good deal of experience as an actor, by the way. He's done plenty of acting. Again, remember what my primary goal was, to get actors. And he sent me a couple of days later, he sent me a recording of him doing the Russian accent, and I basically offered him the role to play Chekhov. And he's been an absolute delight. He's a wonderful kid. He's like 19 or 20 now, and he's funny and talented. Just a great, great guy.
Kim Stinger. And again, a lot like Spock, Uhura, well, they're all iconic, but we all, Uhura, right. That's a tough one. And Kim is great too. And she's also, come into her own.
Yes.
How did you find her?
Well, actually, I met Kim working on another fan production. And we both, I had talked to her one day about what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to take it to the next level. I wanted to make a series that kind of kicked it up several notches in terms of story and acting and lighting and editing, and just kicked it up. And she was very interested in joining us, and so I asked her to come along as Uhura. And then Grant Imahara from Mythbusters.
Yes.
I had done Dragon Con. I don't know if you know Dragon Con in Atlanta.
Of course.
But I had been a guest signing autographs at Dragon Con, and Grant and Carrie and I were judges at the Masquerade one year. And we hit it off. And a year later, I was at a party that Grant was at. And I went up and I'm like, Grant, and we kind of hugged and chatted for a minute. And he said, what are you up to right now? And I pulled out my phone and I showed him some photos of the sets being built. And he was like, oh my. and I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't cast Sulu yet. Grant would be perfect. And again, he's having the time of his life. It's like a childhood dream. And if you ever get the chance to come to the studio, Jimmy, it's euphoric. It's beyond description. For those turbo lift doors to open at one end of that corridor, and you step in it and you're in it. All of the rooms are interconnected. It's laid out exactly the way the original soundstage was. So you can walk from one room to the next, back down the corridor, into the next room, into the next. And it's absolutely breathtaking. And you know what? I want to mention somebody else. Since you mentioned how much you enjoyed Divided We Stand, how awesome was Scotty Whitehurst as Billy Palmerton, the young boy?
Unbelievable.
He is our first AD.
Oh, really?
And he's a talented actor, obviously, and a really great friend. And when I was looking to cast that role, I thought, oh my gosh, Scotty would be amazing at this, and he just knocked it out of the park.
Just stand by me, Billy. You'll be all right. Now, let me check this out. In episode 1. Let me tell you where you hit your stride as far as production value goes. It's Michael Forrest.
Oh yeah,
and that first scene with him and his wife, on the ground.
Yes,
and the camera angle, and he turns around and looks in the camera and starts dialogue. At that point, the look, the feel, the drama, the story. It all came together for me at that point, and that is where I went, okay, this is different. This is, there's something going on here. Would you agree with me?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, when I was on set, because I directed that episode, and when I was on set and we were setting up that camera angle, setting up many of the camera angles, the moment that the image came up on the monitor, we all started saying the same thing. Oh my God, it's so Star Trek.
Yes.
That literally was the catchphrase. It's so Star Trek. And it was like you were looking at when you would look at the monitor that was feeding directly from the camera, it looked like a picture from the original series.
That's exactly right.
And yet you could walk right out in front of the camera and you were in it.
Right.
It was crazy. And I'll tell you something funny. The first 5 T-shirts, production T-shirts. The first 5 episodes, we make production T-shirts every episode that says the name of the episode and the cast and crew and the date. And at the bottom, every one of them says, it's so Star Trek, in quotes, because that was the running phrase that people used from that very first episode, Pilgrim of Eternity. And it was only in episode 6 that we changed it, since we premiered the engineering set in episode 6. We changed the quote at the bottom of the T-shirts to "I'm giving her all she's got." but I mean,
and Diana Hale.
That's Michael's wife.
Yes, that moment. It could have been, and I know this is running the ground today, but it could have been found footage.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? And let me tell you about Diana. I had asked Michael if he would do this, and we had lunch, and I told him, I've got an Apollo redemption story. And he was very interested by that description. And then as we started preparing for the production, his wife, Diana, contacted me and said, hey, is there something for me? Can I do something? And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know. Let me think about it. And that was when I came up with the idea of having Athena be the last god with Apollo in the realm, and they both transport over at the last minute, and she dies in his arms, and it was such a wonderful scene, and she was wonderful in it, and you know what? I got to tell you this, because this is indicative of our series. We shot Pilgrim of Eternity 3 years ago with Mike Forrest and Diana, and today, even now, ever since then, when we have social gatherings and get-togethers in LA with our production family, Mike and Diana come. I mean, they have become, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, it wasn't, I can't articulate clearly enough how much it's not just a gig. It's not just a day gig somebody was hired to do, and then they went on with their lives. Everybody that's been involved in it feels such a sense of family, and Mike and Diana are no different. I mean, when we have birthday parties for one of our gang here in Los Angeles, Mike and Diana are there. When we want to have a dinner party, or when Matt Busey, our DP who lives in Vermont, comes out here to LA for something, we all have a get together. There's Mike and Diana. I mean, and Doug Drexler and Dorothy, and you know, you never know who's going to show up because we have such a wonderful extended family of the people that have been involved in this series.
It's the same thing with this show here with Fade to Black. When it grows together organically in the same sense, Fade to Black, you know, yeah, it's big today and it's all that, but it is totally fan based, fan supported. The producers that we have here now were fans of the show. You know, the voiceover people, or, you know, our news and everything that we do here now, the artwork, the website, everything is a family, and it's grown organically from fans of the show.
Exactly. And that's the best way. It's the best way.
It is. I'm so with you on that. And you know what? It makes you appreciative and thankful too, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does. It sure does. I have an alarm on my phone, Jimmy. It's set to go off every day at noon. My phone alarm goes off at noon every day, no matter what I'm doing. And that alarm, I set that alarm to remind me to stop wherever I am, whatever I'm doing at noon. When that alarm goes off, stop and say a little prayer of gratitude and just be grateful and thankful for so many blessings. And Star Trek continues, and all of the people that are part of this family is definitely one of those big blessings.
We're going to be up against a break. When we come back, we'll discuss each one of the episodes individually before I let you go. I don't want to let you go, but I have to.
Alrighty, sounds good.
But what's crazy here is, even if you had CBS bankrolling this, do you think it could be improved?
Well, the word improved is subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's
I mean,
what I'm
you know,
saying.
what is one person's improvement is another person's destruction. I mean, it's like, oh, you ruined it. No, we made it better. No, you ruined it. I can't answer that question. I'll be honest with you. It really depends on who's in charge.
Well, I'm going to answer.
You know what I mean by that? For instance, if you put somebody in charge of, I don't know, if you put somebody in charge of Star Wars who doesn't know anything about Star Wars, and worse, doesn't know what makes Star Wars Star Wars.
You've just answered the question.
Then you're going to be in trouble.
That's right.
And you may make something great, but it may not be Star Wars.
Well, maybe the catering would go up a notch. You never know, right? This is Fade to Black.
Can I tell you something?
Well, hold on. We're 10 seconds away from a hard network break.
All righty.
So we'll do that on the backside. My guest tonight is Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
All
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Ray Sobbs here once again to tell you about the Space and Alien Snowfest Ufology Conference taking place in the ski resort city of Big Bear Lake in sunny Southern California. What a lineup. Richard Dolan, Chase Kletsky, Micah Hanks, George Norrie, Jason Martell, Jimmy Church, Linda Moulton Howe, keynote speaker Stanton Friedman, and more. Along with the speakers and lecturers, join the luncheon hosted by Jimmy Church. See a world-class UFO ET-themed ice sculpture contest with attendees voting the winner. Enjoy the quaint shops, restaurants, and pubs in Big Bear Lake Village, and enjoy some of the best sky watching you can imagine. After the hectic holidays, gift yourself with a retreat the first week of February and come relax with us in a premier ski resort town high in the mountains of the Southern Sierras with an average of over 300 sunny days a year. Take advantage and book your lodging early and get your tickets now. Visit our website and register at aliensnowfest.com. That's aliensnowfest.com.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues. And we are on limited time with Vic. So rather than have me babble, I'm just going to jump right back into this. And Vic, really quick, I'm going to jump into Lolani right now. But you also have to, this show is about, you know, the paranormal and all things fringe and sure, entertainment and movies and music. We do it all here. But you must, with what Star Trek is about, you must have some knowledge and belief in the existence of ET. And how do you feel about that? And do you think that we've been visited?
Let's see. Well, first of all, I do have a fascination with that. I will tell you that I do believe there is a spirit world. I do believe that there are spiritual beings that we don't see. Call them what you will, angels, demons, whatever. I would love to see more. I'd love to see. I'm always fascinated whenever I see a news story or an article about a UFO or an experience that someone had. And anytime I see movies that come out, paranormal movies. I'm always fascinated to watch them. I've always been really interested in it. Maybe you and I can have a talk sometime about, what inside information you may have that I don't know anything about. I'm sure you probably do. But
that is off air.
All right. I have a friend named Ruben who probably would love to have some conversations with you. He's really into a lot of that kind of stuff, and he would probably love to chat with you about it.
Lolani, what I
there's a crazy alien right there.
Exactly right. That's why I asked you the question before the we discussed it. In that it's always about the story, and so with Lolani, you've got a couple of things that are going on here. Number one, you've got abuse. You've got a little slavery thrown in for good measure. And then you've got Lou Ferrigno playing this psychopath, if you will. Right? And it all mixes in. But it's not only relevant today, but you have the look and feel, of TOS going on.
Yeah. You know what's funny? A lot of people, that is their favorite episode, even though I think they're all really good in their own way and they all have their own qualities and are unique and purposefully so. Lolani was a really, really powerful story. And it was, the main theme of it was, of course, sex trafficking and that whole concept, which is certainly, going on nowadays. And I got to tell you a funny inside story about Lolani. When we started, after we wrote the script, I asked a very dear friend of ours who is a very talented actress in Vancouver if she would play Lolani. And she said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to. This sounds wonderful." I'm not kidding you, Jimmy. 1 week before we were scheduled to shoot. And I'm talking like airplane tickets bought, production insurance has been acquired, equipment has been rented, everybody's ready, taking time off. 1 week before the first day of shooting, she calls me and says, "I have to do this other production. I have a recurring role in this TV show and they won't let me out of it. I can't come." And I was like, "Oh my God, please, it'll ruin the episode. I mean, we'll be sunk." And she said, "Well, I have a friend. Her name is Fiona Vroom. She's an actress up here in Vancouver with me. And I already talked to her and asked her if she would fill in for me, and she agreed." And so I contacted Fiona and sent her sent her the script, and we bought her plane tickets. And she came down. She had a week to prepare to play the lead role in that episode, and she came down and absolutely killed it.
When you're a good actor, you're a good actor. That's all there's to it, because I cannot believe. Well, I do. When you're a good actor, you're a good actor. But she is excellent in the role. Was that the one? Was that the episode with Michael Dorn?
Was the episode with Michael Dorn?
Was Lolani the one with...
Oh, no. Michael Dorn was the voice of the ship's computer.
Yes. Was that in Lolani?
In episode 3. No, that was Fairest of Them All. That was the Mirror episode.
Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. But Michael Dorn slayed. I just wanted to say that really quick.
Oh, did I? Right? I know, right? Michael and I are good buddies, and so are Marina Sirtis and I. And I asked Marina, when we started the series, if she would be the voice of our computer. And actually, I said, I want you to do something in my series I want to make. And she said, "I'm not putting on that god-awful jumpsuit, Vic." And I'm like, no. She said, "I won't do it. I won't wear the leotard." And I'm like, no. I want you to be the voice of the computer. And she goes, "Oh, yes, absolutely, yes." And she's done a great job. But then, of course, when you get to the mirror universe, everything is backwards, which means that the ship's computer is now a male voice, not a female voice. And I asked Michael Dorn if he would do it. He said, absolutely. I went over to his house one day with my laptop and a microphone and recorded his lines sitting at his dining room table.
Oh, man. Well, that's how it gets done. Right there.
Exactly.
In episode 3, Fairest of Them All, again, a total challenge, because in Fairest of Them All, just like in the original series, this is a tough thing to do, to mirror everything out, get it out, and to have the audience appreciate or understand what you are trying to do artistically. It's a big challenge.
Right. Well, that the original episode, the original series episode, Mirror Mirror, was probably one of the top 5 episodes of the series. Most fans that you ask, name your top 5 favorite episodes? Mirror Mirror will almost always be in it.
Right.
And it ended it had such a great open ending to it. Where the good Captain Kirk challenges the mirror Spock to make a difference in that universe. He basically says, look, Spock, things can't go on the way they're going now. Something's got to give. This is all going to fall apart. It can't endure. And Spock agrees it can't. And so Kirk's basically like, okay, well, you make a difference and make a change here in this world. Be the captain of this Enterprise, Mr. Spock. And make a difference. And the last thing Spock said was, Captain Kirk, I shall consider it. And I always wondered, even as a kid, I wonder what ever happened with that challenge that Kirk gave Spock.
That's right.
And so what we did with that episode, for those of your listeners that haven't watched it yet, it's really wonderful. We actually recreated the last minute of the original episode, shot for shot, line for line, lighting for lighting. But when Kirk and his landing party beamed away from the Mirror Enterprise, the camera never leaves the transporter room, and Mirror Kirk and his landing party beam back in, and it picks right up, and the whole story takes place on the Mirror Enterprise, and it's the story of what Spock did.
Oh, I think I lost you, Vic. Are you there?
You lost me?
Yeah, just that last line.
I just said, and the story picks right up where the original one left off, and the whole episode takes place on the Mirror Enterprise with what Spock did, tells the story of what Spock did with that challenge.
And for everybody, when you go to the website, just click on the mirror. Okay.
If you go to www.StarTrekContinues.com and click on episodes, we have our marquee posters there for all the episodes, and all you have to do is click on one and watch away. It's free to watch. Let me also say, I would be remiss if I didn't say that on our homepage, we do have a Donate Now button for people that like what they're seeing and want to help us make more. I think anybody that watches our episodes knows exactly where the money is going. I mean, you can't watch that without seeing where the money is going. I'll give you a little financial perspective, Jimmy. The original series episodes were about $115,000 per episode. That was their budget. That's well over $1 million today. But let's just say $1 million, okay? In fact, Next Generation in the 80s, Next Generation budget episodes were $1 million. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, keep that number in your mind. $1 million to make an episode of the original series of Star Trek today. We make episodes for anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000.
It's impossible.
Exactly. That we have so many people that work so hard for virtually nothing because they love what we're doing and they believe in what we're doing. And I'll tell you something, from me all the way down, I feel very, very strongly about stewardship. I feel very, very strongly about doing what you say you're going to do in the time you say you're going to do it. When the fans donate their hard-earned money to help you do something like this, you damn well better do it. And so Star Trek Continues is absolutely committed to actually over-delivering in many cases. And I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. We are making episodes for literally less than a tenth of what they would normally cost to make.
It seems impossible to me, and especially when you watch Divided We Stand, and you're just like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Jimmy? They probably could not have even done that episode in the original series.
I don't know how you did it.
It would have been too cost prohibitive. It would have been too expensive.
Yeah.
They couldn't have done it. But you know what we did?
Everybody worked for free?
Well, that's part of it, of course. But what we did was, I came up with the story, and I always loved the original series episodes where they went to some historical period.
Right.
I loved it when they went to the gangsters of the 20s or Nazi Germany or the Roman Empire or the Depression or whatever. I always loved them. And I was sitting around one day, literally 3 years ago, thinking, what's a period of time they never went to? What's a historical period they never went to? And then I was like, oh my gosh, the Civil War. And then I started thinking, if we were to team up with a Civil War reenactment, those things take place all over the country annually, Jimmy, right?
Right.
So if we were to literally get maybe 20, 25 guys in perfect authentic uniforms and perfect gear and rifles and all that kind of stuff, backpacks and stuff, and we were to get those 20 or 25 guys to come down to our studio, and we would stage all of the actual substantial story elements, all of the scenes and the actual dialogue with those 20 or 25 guys, and then we were to get our camera and drive to a Civil War reenactment and shoot video of thousands of guys fighting and cannons going off and, you know what I mean, and armies charging at each other, and intercut that footage with our episode. It would make the scope of the episode so much bigger.
That's so smart. Look, I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, how did Vic pull this off? How did they pull this? Because now we're dealing with a cast of thousands, right?
Yeah.
And it's all there. And so I was actually looking in the frames to see if you guys CG'd in the extra.
No.
The extra armies in the background, because it is a huge set, a huge production, and it's all there. It is, and
I got to tell you, we had so much fun making that episode out in the woods and out in these open fields, and we would carefully choreograph the 15 or 20, 25 guys that we had in the background, to fill it in and to have guys running by the camera and guys falling in the background and, marching and all that stuff, knowing that we would then intercut it with bigger shots just to, broaden the feel of it. And, a lot of that episode takes place in that medical tent, when Kirk gets injured and McCoy's in there and they're working on people and all of that. We actually built that tent. We built that set at our studio, which is exactly what they would have done in the original series. They would have built it in the studio on the soundstage so that they would have control of the lighting, and dolly track and put the camera wherever they wanted. And we literally made that medical tent out of canvas, and depending on where we wanted to take a camera shot from, we would just flip up one side of the canvas and shoot in that direction, and then move it around and shoot in the other direction, and had the best time.
And Chuck Huber got to take it over the top.
Oh my God, did he?
Yeah, damn it, Jim, I'm just a doctor. He got to get all of that stuff in.
Oh yeah, forgive me, Jim.
Yes, it's all there.
Yeah, yep.
Anyway,
I loved his line out in the woods when he's over top of the guy that shot. He's like, "I'm a surgeon, not a butcher."
Yes,
and Kirk goes, "Good," because he needs a surgeon.
Oh, it was his opportunity to finally be able to go there,
Yep.
But Deuce Guy just said it in Twitter really quick. I got to get this in. He says, "Please ask Vic what's his favorite quote from Star Trek."
Oh my God!
Yeah, I know that's a tough one. I was just thinking of Sulu, Captain, beam us up a warm pot of coffee. You know that?
Oh my gosh, from from Enemy Within.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You know what? I'm gonna. What was your Twitter guy's name? Do you have his name?
Do Sky.
Do Sky. Thanks for the question, man. You know what my favorite is? Don't freak out. It's very obscure. My favorite episode from the original series was Requiem for Methuselah.
Yeah.
It was a third season episode with the android girl, Raina.
Yep.
And that final scene was my favorite dialogue of the whole of the whole series.
Really?
Kirk is so Captain, and I'll tell you why I loved that episode, because you saw a side of Captain Kirk you never saw. He was ashamed, Jimmy. He was ashamed of the way he behaved. He was mortified at how he acted, and in that final scene, in his quarters, he's sitting there at his table, and he says, "A very old and lonely man, and a young and lonely man. We put on a pretty poor show, didn't we? If only I could forget." And Spock and McCoy, Kirk falls asleep, and Spock and McCoy are standing there. And McCoy says the most amazing, this whole scene, McCoy says, "You know, Spock, I feel sorrier for you than I do for him, because you'll never know the things love can drive a man to. The ecstasies, the miseries, the desperate chances, the glorious failures, the glorious victories, all these things you'll never know, simply because the word love isn't written into your book." Oh my God! I mean, it's so beautiful. I mean, I couldn't pick a one-liner for you, D Sky, but I will say that scene is among my favorite dialogue scenes.
He posted, "There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere." That's pretty good. Do you know? Have you ever met Celeste Yarnell?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a panel with her in a couple of weeks. At,
yes, I sure have.
Yeah, at the Conscious Life Expo, and she was somebody else that, it's kind of funny because Michelle, the look that Celeste had in the original series, Michelle kind of grasped that 1960s look.
Well, yeah, she's really good with hair and makeup. I mean, she just has a really, really good eye for that. And you know what? A lot of women love that period. You know what I mean? There was such a boldness, and a femininity.
That's right.
About the big hair and the bumps in the hair and the flowing, beautiful gowns and I mean, that's so indicative of that period, and we definitely try to capture it in the series as much as possible.
Now, I want to go back to. I want to finish up with "Divided We Stand." It was big. It was epic as far as Star Trek goes. It is big. It's wide. It's got a lot of story in it. You've got President Lincoln. I thought that was actually a pretty good touch. But it's got the historical references, but then again, it's about the story, and the story is strong, and the whole Billy, don't be a hero, be a hero part of it too. I got to tell you, man, it was a little bit of a tearjerker at the end of that too as well.
Well, I can promise you that Scotty Whitehurst and everybody that was involved in that would be very, very pleased to hear that, because a lot of love went into that episode.
How tough is it to be the director? How tough with not only this particular episode, but you're starring in it, you're writing, you're directing. How tough is that? Would you rather give up the directing to somebody else?
Well, let me say this: we've got some really, really talented people. James Kerwin came in and co-wrote the screenplay for episode 3, and he directed it, and he did a great job. And then he directed episode 4 and did a wonderful job. And then a really good friend of mine here in LA named Julian Higgins, I invited to direct episode 6, which we just wrapped in November. And so I've got some really great directors. And I will tell you this, I'm really torn. The answer to your question is I'm very torn, because if I'm directing, I don't feel like I can be the best actor I want to be. My focus is too split. However, there's no solution, because even if I'm not directing, I'm directing. You know what I mean? Even if I'm not directing, I'm the executive producer of the show. And the executive producer of a television show is ultimately responsible for the vision of the show. And I mean, Julian and James both, when we've worked together, they have both been really, really good about understanding that if I see it differently, or if I want something shot differently, then that's the way we do it. There aren't any arguments, you know what I mean? There aren't any, well, I'm the director, well, I'm the producer. Well, there isn't any of that. We have a great rapport, and we accomplish wonderful things together. And I love being able to hand it off to somebody else. But at the same time, you know, I'm ultimately responsible for what it looks like. And so I'm always looking at the shots. I'm always checking the frame. I'm always watching the performances and tweaking this and that, and stepping in and fixing Spock's hair, and stepping in and pulling somebody's uniform down, and moving glasses on a table around so they look better on camera. I mean, all of that kind of stuff. I love filmmaking. I love filmmaking in every different facet of it. So in answer to your question, it is hard directing and acting. I don't think I do my best work at either of them when I'm doing them both, but it's kind of necessary, you know?
Now, we didn't get a chance to talk about the scoring of it, which was
my gosh.
I know, and it's such a big part of it.
Can I go longer?
It's up to you. You want to go longer? Then
let's go longer.
Okay,
let's go longer.
That's what I'm talking about. See,
I'm having too much fun, and you know, I want to talk about White Iris too.
Yes. That was you that went past White Iris, young man. I was going in order. But
well, you know, I White Iris is that story is very close to my heart personally.
Well, we'll do that after the break, and we'll discuss the scoring. But
yes,
before
let's definitely talk about Andy Farber and his amazing original scoring.
It's incredible. But why hasn't a studio? Why hasn't CBS come to you and said, "Let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's just do this"? What is stopping them?
I can't answer. I don't have an answer. But I will tell you this. It is by CBS's good graces that allows fan productions to exist, as long as they don't make money. As long as people don't sell merchandise, or, you know what I mean, or pocket money for themselves, CBS has been very, very gracious in allowing the fans to do this and pay tribute to Star Trek. And you know what? That's all we want to do. I have a job. I have a career where I make a living. I don't care about making money or being famous, making Star Trek. I just want to pay tribute to the original series that meant so much to me. And in as much as CBS allows us to do that, we are very, very grateful. I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did, but you know, I'm sure there are reasons. I just don't know what they are.
You know exactly what I'm saying too. And there is a boardroom somewhere. There's some head of VP of production, red light, green light guy, right? That's sitting around talking to his boys going, "How come you can't make something as good as this?" You know, these amateurs
but again,
in Georgia.
Something as good, that's subjective, isn't it? I mean, like somebody thinks that, it needs more battle.
Right.
It needs more explosions. It needs more sex.
Right.
It needs more drugs. It needs more crime. It needs more aliens. It needs more, you know, everybody has a different perspective on what they think would make something good or make something better. And, you know, I can't answer that. I'm sure that there are plenty of reasons floating around a boardroom somewhere, but I'm not going to lose sleep over trying to answer those questions.
Our guest tonight is Vic Mignogna. He just agreed to do a little bit of overtime. So more with Vic. We're going to talk about the scoring and the White Iris and some other stuff when we come back. Stay with us.
the Metal God on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Why do people order Life Change Tea? Because Life Change Tea helps the digestive system. Life Change Tea helps the colon unclog. The tea also helps with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and many, many other health issues. Life Change Tea also tastes great. And Life Change Tea is not just green tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs that go to town, cleaning your body of harmful toxins, bacteria, and parasites. Our tea is number 1. Are you ready for your life change? Let the tea help you. Log on to our online store of helpful products to get your body on track. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Not all tea is equal. Read our website of all the factual testimonies that prove that Life Change Tea is working. Health is important, and our quality of life is very important. Don't wait to order. Expect a life change with Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie McDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues, and the show continues now with Vic. Actually, you know what's funny, Vic, is everything is fan-driven right now. I've got about 20 fan questions here. I'm just going to bang these out really, really fast. This is
good. I was wondering if anybody had called in or if there was any Twitter questions or anything. Sure.
I can do all. You want me to open up the phone lines? You're gonna
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, 323-825-5045. Phone lines are open. First question from Renee. Do you have Star Trek groupies?
I don't. Wow, Renee. Well, I think Star Trek has groupies, and in as much as we are continuing Star Trek, there are people that are certainly big fans of what we're doing, and you know what I think they come to find out really quickly is that we're big fans of it as well. I mean, I'm a big, huge Star Trek fanboy who's getting to realize his dream of playing his childhood hero.
I think you're dancing right now. You do have groupies, but that's okay. That's fine. Okay, this is from Elizabeth. She says, did you ever feel that when you were making Star Trek Continues that it would become as popular as it did? And did you feel that pressure?
You know what, Elizabeth? I had no idea whether it would become popular. I only did it because it was my childhood dream to do it. I didn't know if we would ever do any more than one episode, but I wanted to say that I did it. I wanted to at least accomplish that. And I'll tell you what was scary, Elizabeth, was, you know, you imagine playing a character your whole life, and you never think that you'd really ever get a chance to do it. Like the odds of what would have to come together to make that happen, you know, never in a million years. But when I stepped onto the bridge for the first time in uniform, and suddenly, you know,
right.
Suddenly the pressure was on to deliver a performance as Captain James Kirk. That was scary.
Yeah,
daunting.
I can only imagine the first time sitting in the helm, right, in the con. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Vic. You're live right now.
Hey, I am the one Starship Continues fan.
Okay. Listen, your phone is breaking up. You're going to have to call back. Did I just say that? I did. On a Star Trek show. I just said your phone is breaking up. You're going to have to call back. And
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I couldn't understand you.
So.
Okay.
Okay, just.
Okay, I'll.
Yeah, that's okay. Man, that's just such a drag. But
gosh, I feel so bad.
Yeah, I got to say you're breaking up, and okay, let's try this one more time. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me back?
Yeah, now we got you. What's your question for Vic?
Well, Vic, I have to tell you that I'm a huge fan, especially of that Spot character. And I look forward to
know
seeing
you.
this
You know what?
weekend.
I know you are. I know you are. He's the best thing on the show, isn't he?
Yes. I'm going to be at the con you're at this weekend.
Please promise and come give me a big hug, will you?
I totally will do that. How long does it take Spock to get into makeup?
Well, you know, Todd is such a trooper. He, he sits there quietly and usually falls asleep in the makeup chair, and it takes, I think, about 2, maybe 2.5 hours sometimes. Does that sound about right?
Sometimes it takes 3.
Yeah, because this is Todd, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Todd Habercorn. Oh my God.
Todd, how are you, man?
Doing great. I've been listening. I was alerted that this was going on, so I had to tune in and listen. And hey, man, sounds great. Everything sounded good, and thank you for being a big fan. I have to say that Vic, this is not possible with everybody involved, but especially Vic being the heartbeat of this thing, because he was talking about earlier about multitasking with directing and acting, but that's the only way it can happen. I mean, we couldn't do this without you, Vic. So sorry, man, the burden's on your shoulders, dude. That's how you make great treks.
Well, hey, Todd, let me jump in, and I know that you were listening to the show, and my observation, which I think is an honest one, is you have grown. You've grown into a pretty iconic character that you out of everybody else. Well, Vic certainly, being Kirk, but for you, you're gonna take your rap, man, from people out there, and you've held your own. You've grown into the role. Are you comfortable with it now? Are you comfortable? Or you feel good about yourself?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think that is coming with every episode that we do, and the camaraderie that we build with not only the on-camera cast, but then the crew. I mean, I think Vic mentioned this. I came into the interview a little late listening-wise, but, we all hang out after the shoot, even after spending double-digit hours on set together. There's a comfort level there, and each episode gets better, and every time especially with the Divided We Stand episode, I looked at Vic at one point, I go, man, we're really going to be able to pull this off? And he did it. And so it was amazing to see it grow, and that gives me confidence to try to confidence and also the ambition to try to be the best that I can be and try to keep up with everybody else and try to keep up with the engineering and the bridge and the beautiful sets. And I'm like, man, I got to pull my weight around here. I'm trying. So thank you for saying that.
Well, one last question, Todd, and thank you for jumping in on the show. But I just have to ask you, you got to be honest. Was that a prosthetic goatee?
Absolutely. I'm Asian. I can't grow that. If you were like, I'm going to give you 15 years to grow something like that, I would be like, go ahead and take me now because it ain't happening.
Hey, Todd, thank you, man. And seriously, you're brilliant as Spock. It's a tough thing to do. You pulled it off, and there you go. And
hey, listen, let me say something real quick. Todd and I, any of your listeners that are in the Vegas area, Todd and I are going to be guests at a convention this weekend in Las Vegas.
Oh, is that right?
Otakon.
Yeah.
Otakon. We're both going to be there. Yeah. So if any of your listeners are nearby, come and say hello. And Todd, I love you. I'm so proud of what you've done, and it's been an honor to have you as part of this team, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Todd.
I feel the same. Thanks, man. I love you, Vic, and hello, Jimmy, and keep going.
Yeah.
I'll keep listening.
All the best, Todd. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That caught me by surprise. You're breaking up, call back, and it was Todd. You gotta love it. Before I get to some more calls, I do want to talk about. Well, I want to talk about the white iris, but another thing that I cannot let the audience get away from, which is the scoring and what is done there, because just like, and I mean this too. Just like the set and the Enterprise is another character, the music is.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
now let me, Jimmy, I'm a long-time music composer, producer, singer, songwriter. I've got 6 of my own CDs on iTunes. I've produced 20 or 30 records for different artists. I play the piano and write professionally, and the music of the original series, I couldn't agree with you more. It was such a huge part of the feel and the pathos of the episodes. And so I always planned when we started this series that we were going to use the original music. There was no question, because people just don't write like that anymore.
No, they don't.
I mean, today's TV shows are usually synthesizers and samplers, and they're more like pads and soundscapes. They're not thematic. They're certainly not orchestral, live orchestral. It'd just be too cost prohibitive. But so I always, I would have loved to have had original music, but there wasn't anybody that did it. So about a year and a half ago, I was contacted by a guy named Andy Farber.
Hold on, Vic. Let me jump in for a second. Before episode 4, how did you get the original stems? Did you go to CBS? How did you get the original music?
No, those are recordings.
Yeah, I know. How did you get those?
Well, there's a huge collection out there of all the original music. There is I'm talking like a $1,200 15, 16 CD set of all of the original series music, everything, even stuff that you have not heard before.
Okay, I got you. Okay, moving on. Let's go to episode 4. Okay, so
I got a call, an email out of the blue from this guy, and he said, "Listen, I'm a composer, and I love Star Trek, and I love the original series, and I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to write. Have you ever thought of having original music?" And I wrote this guy back just like I'd written 5 other guys back. And I said, well, I really appreciate it, but the reality is that, people just don't write like that anymore. And it's a very specific style of writing. And he wrote back and said, well, I'd love to try. And I said to him, well, I'll tell you what, our episode that we're getting ready to do has an original character in it named Nakia. She was a young girl who served on the Farragut with Kirk when he was a young lieutenant. And just like Edith Keeler had her own theme and Miramani had her own theme from the original series, we want this original character to have her own theme. So, Andy, why don't you write something and send it to me as a test, and let's see how you do. And he recorded something and he sent it, and my jaw hit the ground. I was like, oh my God, this guy gets it. He gets it. And so I sent him the rough cut of the episode, and he wrote some original pieces for the episode. And then I flew up to Rochester, New York, where he had put together an orchestra at the Rochester Institute of Technology, and we recorded a live orchestra, never been done on a fan production. And we recorded a live orchestra playing original cues for episode 4 of The White Iris. And we had such a great time, and it went so well that we did the same thing for Divided We Stand. And he's going to be writing original music for Come Not Between the Dragons, episode 6. And by the way, I found out later on that Andy Farber, he's not just a composer, but he teaches composition at Juilliard in New York City, one of the most prestigious, music schools in the country, in the world probably. He's a teacher there, an instructor. So he knows his stuff, and he's a great guy. In fact, he flew down to the studio in last November when we were shooting episode 6 and had the time of his life, walking through the sets and watching us shoot, and was treated like royalty because everybody knows he was the guy that has done the amazing original music for us.
It is so when and all of the episodes are great. They really are. You've got the original music there, but when episode 4 kicks off, it's like, this sounds really, really good.
I have to give kudos to Ralph Miller, who is our sound supervisor. He does all of the mixing and sound design and does an amazing job with it. But let me, real quick, talking about The White Iris, one of the biggest challenges for The White Iris was the costuming. Because if you think about it, there are these ghosts of these women that Kirk knew from his past. And they were in the original series episodes, which means they had to look as much like the original series characters as possible.
And the hair.
Oh,
too.
My God, yeah. And I got to tell you, Ginger Holly and Hannah Baruchi, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. They spent so much time, hundreds of hours, having like the knitted sweater that Edith Keeler was wearing was custom knitted so that it would be exactly the same knit pattern as the one that Joan Collins wore, and that amazing dress that Raina wore, and the Indian outfit with the beads and the headdress and the headband and all of that. They spent so much time making sure that it looked, again, that the audience would immediately go, "Oh my God, that's Edith Keeler. Oh my gosh, that's Raina.
Yes.
Oh, that's Miramani." And they wouldn't miss a trick. And so I really want to give a lot of love and kudos to Ginger and Hannah and their team for what the costuming work they did for The White Iris.
I'm going to do this right now. I have to say this, and it is something that just sticks out to me. I swear. The other star of Star Trek Continues, the pillow in the sickbay. That thing is spot on, Vic.
Well, can I tell you about the sickbay stuff?
Yeah. You know what? I brought in a caller really quick.
Let's talk to your caller.
Yeah. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Vic Mignogna. Who's calling?
Dennis.
Oh, hey, Dennis. Oh, it's one of my producers here on the show. Hey, Dennis, say hi to Vic.
Hey, Vic, how you doing?
Hey, Dennis, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Hey, been a big fan of yours for quite a while.
Oh, thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you.
I was wondering, most of the series had a Shakespearean influence. How much has Shakespeare been an influence in your career and on the series itself?
Well, I did some Shakespeare in high school and college. I love Shakespeare. And you're right. I believe there were 4 or 5 episodes that the titles came from a Shakespearean play.
That's right.
Whom Gods Destroy was one. Well, I don't want to get myself in trouble now, but I believe that our episode 6, I believe that the title "Come Not Between the Dragons" is a quote from a Shakespearean play, I believe. And ironically, Dennis, the episode of the original series with the Greek god Apollo. Do you remember the title, Jimmy? I'm going to play trivia with you. Do you remember the title of the episode?
You can't put me in the hot seat. I'm the host.
Okay, the title was "Who Mourns for Adonais?" And it was a line from a poem. Well, our sequel episode, Pilgrim of Eternity, the line "Pilgrim of Eternity" is a line from the very same poem as "Who Mourns for Adonais?" So we love the Shakespearean influences, and in fact, James Kerwin, I think, was the one that found the title "Come Not Between the Dragons." And when you see episode 6, oh my gosh, Dennis, Jimmy, you talk about always something new, and they're all different in their own way. Episode 6 is going to blow your minds.
I can't wait for it.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that, and I'm not surprised it came from James Kerwin. That guy is super intelligent,
isn't he? I always tease him about being a Mensa member, and wrap your large brain around this problem, James.
Well, few people know he has a med background.
Yeah, I mean, he's brilliant. So, and he's talented, and you know what? He has become one of my dearest friends, and he is a very, very big part of Star Trek Continues. In fact, he and I talk probably 2 or 3 times a day about any number of things related to the production.
Okay, Dennis, your break is over. Go back to work.
Okay, thanks very much, Jimmy, and thank you, Vic.
Oh, my pleasure, Dennis. Thank you. And I should say right now, episode 6 is most likely going to premiere in. Hold on, let me look at my.
Yeah, I keep clicking on it, hoping today's
calendar
the day.
Here.
Yeah.
May. It'll premiere in May.
There you go.
It'll probably be done before that, but it will premiere in May, and then episode 7 will more than likely premiere in September, October.
All right, thank you.
I look forward to it. Okay, I'll say goodbye and good luck to the both of you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dennis. I'll hope to meet you in person someday.
All right, now I can't. There's the characters that I keep referring to, the shuttle. How was that?
Oh my gosh! Right
now, when that popped up on the screen. Now I'm thinking green screen. This is a model. How they pull this off? There's no way, and and it's real, right?
Well, I will tell you, our good friends of our production, Dave Arland and Adam Schneider, worked on the restoration of the original Galileo shuttlecraft. There was a 1-to-1 scale model of the shuttlecraft that they used in the original series, and it fell into disrepair and just kind of fell apart over the decades. And Adam Schneider, William Smith, and a team of talented people, Dave Arland, they bought it and they restored it and they donated it to Houston Space Center, Houston. So when we were shooting episode 3, and the final scene takes place in the shuttle bay, in the hangar deck with the shuttlecraft, I called Adam Schneider. And I said, Adam, is there any chance that you could talk to Space Center Houston about letting us come there and shoot with the original shuttlecraft? And, they're not going to let just anybody come in there with a camcorder and shoot something, but we sent them a link to episode 1 and episode 2 so they could see the quality of what we were doing. And we convinced them, rightly so, that we were going to give the Galileo shuttlecraft, a big, wonderful christening back onto the screen after almost 50 years.
Right.
And they were very, very kind and gracious and allowed us to come in there and set up giant green screens around the shuttlecraft so that we could put the hangar deck in the background.
Right.
But that's actually us climbing on, walking around, getting into the original shuttlecraft from the original series.
Man, how cool is that?
It was beyond cool. I mean, we're standing there looking at it like, is this the craziest thing? We're actually shooting with the original shuttlecraft.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you this: Have you talked to Bill Shatner? Do you know if he's seen the series?
Well, I will tell you this: I have the same event manager that Bill has, and our event manager books us into a lot of the same conventions. So I have had the privilege, and I mean privilege, over the last 2 years to actually become friends with Bill. I mean, like, as in have dinner, fly to Dubai and do a show together, sightseeing Dubai, share cabs, hang out in the green room. I've been to his office a couple of times. And I love him to death.
Now, I didn't know this.
But let me say this. I love him enough that I'm not going to annoy him with, I'm a Star Trek fan. Bill, Mr. Shatner.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to be that guy. I mean, he has been involved in this for 40 plus years, and I wanted to be friends with him. I wanted to be another actor, a peer who is doing shows and signing autographs at the table next to him. And so I've tried to be very respectful and honor him in that way. But I will tell you this, he certainly knows about it. I certainly know for a fact that he knows about it. I know that people tweet him about it. I know that his wife even asked me some questions about it in his presence. I've shown him some pictures, but I've not been pushy about it at all.
So he's never got, okay, I watched Pilgrim last night, and Vic, it's not that good.
No, I don't have any knowledge of whether or not he's actually ever seen any of the episodes. I do know that he's told people publicly he doesn't even watch his own stuff.
Oh yeah, that's hard to do. Yeah,
I mean, he's not even watched he's not even watched the original series of Star Trek much. So I don't expect him to. I hope that he does, and I'll tell you why. I hope that he does for the same reason that I told him. We were in Dubai at the Middle East Film and Comic-Con, and we were having dinner sitting out on a patio overlooking the Persian Gulf. And it was me and Bill and his wife and our manager and a couple of friends, and we were and this came up, and I showed he and his wife some photos, and they were just like, "Oh my God, it looks just like the original." And I put my arm around Bill and I said, "This is for you. I want you to know this is all because of how much you and your co-actors inspired me when I was a little boy." And he put his arm around my shoulder and kind of pulled me in and smiled, and it was a wonderful moment. But I would only want him to see it with the knowledge that it is nothing more than a huge, giant tribute to what he and everyone else did.
Yeah, if your attempt at Kirk was to imitate Kirk, you wouldn't want him to see it because he would come right at you. But that's not what it is, and so I am sure that he would appreciate it. But you know what you got to do, Vic? I mean, at least once, you just got to go at him as Kirk one day.
I don't think I will ever be able to do that. I will ever be able to do it.
Man,
but let me say something really quick before we run out of time.
Sure.
We are planning another crowdfunding campaign in February, late February, early March, coming up here soon. And anybody that's listening, if you've had the chance to watch our series, hopefully we'd love to have your support. If you haven't watched it, I hope that after listening to the show this evening, you'll check out all of our episodes online and be watching for our crowdfunding campaign. It'll be on Indiegogo. We're calling it Indiegogo, where no man has gone before, and we're basically going to try to raise money to make more episodes. And our long-term goal, Jimmy, is to finish the original series of Star Trek. I want to make 13 episodes. We've made 7 so far. I want to make 13 episodes, the equivalent of a television season today, where we will not only give the most iconic series in history the ending, the series finale that it never got, but also leave all of the characters where they were when the motion picture picked them up.
I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. Thank you so much, and thank you for doing a little overtime for the fans out there. I really appreciate it.
My sincere pleasure, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
And we'll have you on again soon. And when the Indiegogo kicks off, we'll get you back. We'll do a push right here on Fade to Black.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Vic Mignogna, everybody. That is what I am talking about. If you are on hold, stay right there. I got to get this break in. Thank you, Vic. That was absolutely wonderful and perfect. We'll talk more about that. I'm going to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues, and I'll be taking your phone calls right after this. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hi, folks. Ray Sobbs here with KGRA to tell you about something very special taking place in February 2016. I'm talking about the Space and Alien Snowfest Ufology Conference taking place at the beautiful ski and snowboard resort city of Big Bear Lake in sunny Southern California. We've got Richard Dolan, Chase Kletzky, Micah Hanks, Jason Martell, Jimmy Church, Linda Moulton Howe, Mike Barra, and keynote speaker Stanton Friedman will be presented a Lifetime Achievement Award. George Norrie and his producer Tom Danheiser from Coast to Coast AM Live will be with us all weekend. After the hectic holidays, gift yourself a retreat on top of the world the first weekend in February 2016 with a one-of-a-kind ufology event featuring some of the top minds in the field. Take advantage and book your lodging early and get your tickets now and register at aliensnowfest.com. I'll be there. Don't miss out.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Thank you, Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues. Wow, great conversation. The this series, this is Jimmy Church, by the way, little reset. KGRA, The Planet, TalkNetwork.com. All right. Vic Mignogna, not only, and I need everybody to kind of appreciate a little bit here. He's one of the main writers. You know, he's shared directing duties, but he's the star, executive producer, wears a lot of hats, and it's all out of passion. And when you go, and I know, look, so what? I was a little bit of a fanboy tonight, but it's here. It is deserved. Okay, go and check it out. Yet this is not commercialized. You need to understand something here. CBS has allowed this to proceed and to move forward because there is no commercialization here. That's how this is done. He paid for the first episode out of his own pocket. So anyway, go. If you dig it, donate, support, make this happen, because that's not what I'm here for, to ask for that. But this is fan-driven, and I'm a fan. You watch this, and you just think to yourself, this is impossible to make. How can this possibly get done? But Vic and his team and his actors and the product and everything, the way that this is done, it is actually as good as anything else out there. On any standard, it's that good. How he does that for, what did he say? $60,000, $80,000 an episode? My answer, it's impossible. Go and watch it. It's impossible. It's impossible. That's because they cut every corner that they can to make sure that everything goes into this production. All right, so enough of that. I was a fanboy. I couldn't help myself. All right, phone lines are open, 323-825-5045. I want to hear, I know that everybody went out and did their homework last night. I want to know, what's your favorite episode? I'm going to go right now, and before I say the obvious, they're all good. They're all good. I like Divided We Stand. And the reason why I thought, okay, they've got 4 episodes, they're all great and it's all good, but here we go, a periodic piece, and I stand corrected. Divided We Stand, the story, the production, the way it's done, it's off the hook. So, but they're all good though. Fairest of them all, Lolani, Pilgrim of Eternity, you got Apollo. So, I don't know. The White Iris is really strong. And in a weird way, and I kind of commented on this. I want to say thank you to Todd for calling in. Because what you do see, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you see the development of the characters and everybody coming in to their own. And by the time White Iris, episode 3 is pretty strong too, but everybody gets really, really good, and they're gelling. Okay, so by the time you get to Divided We Stand, it's there, man. It's so there. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. All right, now I have to do this. I got to. It's gotten so bad in the oil world right now that investment banks are practically falling all over themselves right now to predict just how low crude oil is going to go. I've been talking about this now for 3-4 weeks, and I'm still waiting for the effects of all of this to affect California. But in other words, we're still paying $3 a gallon out, and I know that Twitter's going to start posting, it's 99 cents a gallon out here. Well, I'm sure it's getting there now. But it's gotten so bad that just this week, Morgan Stanley warned that the super strong U.S. dollar right now could drive crude oil to $20 a barrel. Now, yesterday, what did I report on? Royal Bank of Scotland said $16 a barrel is here. It's on the horizon. We're talking about weeks away, by the way, everybody. This is the bottom has fallen out. And once the you can only put your fingers in so many holes in the dike before it just completely blows. And that's where it is. And right around the corner comes Iran. They want part of this too. They're not part of it right now. There's so much oil around the world. There's so much gas. There's so much we can't put it anywhere anymore. We've got too much. Now, Royal Bank of Scotland says $16 or under is right on the horizon. And comparing the current market mood to the days before the implosion, it reminds me of like Lehman Brothers back in 2008. When it goes nuts, it's going to go nuts. Les just tweeted, I consider it good. Yes, but there's other things that come into play here. All right? Today, Standard Chartered doesn't even think those dire predictions are dark enough. Oh, no. The British Bank said today in a new research report that oil prices could collapse to as low as $10 a barrel. That hasn't been seen since 2001, 15 years ago. And let me tell you, 2001, that was $1 a gallon, $10 a barrel. Now, what does all of this mean? You have to take this all into context and grab this. Qatar, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, right? All of of course, Saudi Arabia and Sudan and everybody in Iraq, certainly Syria. All of these places that sell oil, Dubai. Everything is based on, all of the money is based on petrodollars. All of it. And when you go from listen to this, let's just pull out a round number. And that round number is $1 million a month. That's what you're used to. That's what you're acclimated to. Every single month. So what do you get acclimated to? Spending that $1 million a month. Okay? Just put it into context. And then 1 month, and you got years, you're spending this $1 million every month. You got your bills to pay. You've built things. You've hired things. You've done. You're spending your $1 million a month. And then 1 month, that $1 million isn't $1 million. It's now $100,000. You go bankrupt. You shut down. If right now at your job, right now, right? Pull a number out of the air. You're making $50,000 a year. Things are good. $50,000 for a year, and the next year, and you've rolled along, and now you're at $55,000, you're at $60,000. You're doing your thing. It's all good, right? You live as you go. You make $50,000, you spend $50,000. That's just the way it is. Now you've got the 2 cars in the driveway you're making payments on. You've got your mortgage. You've got your cable bill. You've got your insurance. You've got your food. You got your clothes. You're going out every night of the week. You've got your kids you're taking care of. You got them going into school. You make your 50, you spend your 50. And then one day, the next month, you are now doing $15,000 a year. Just like that. Same job. Same car payments. Same house. Same wife, same kids, same food bills. Nothing changes in your life, but suddenly your income is $55,000 to $15,000. That's what's going on in the world markets right now. The infrastructure of all of those countries, and it goes to here too as well in the United States. It also applies to Venezuela and other exporting countries. That's the deal here. And right now we have off the coast of America, we have all of these oil platforms that are drilling for oil. Well, it costs money to keep that platform running. And if oil drops, it's not that there isn't oil underneath that platform and they can't get to it. They can. But once oil drops, it's too expensive to run those oil platforms. So we just shut those down. We start them up again when we need a little more oil. When oil is a little more valuable, we'll start to crank those up, and we turn those on and off like light switches. Okay, and if you didn't know that, that's what's going on. There are plenty of platforms out there right now that are sitting idle because at $30 a barrel, $40 a barrel, it's not worth it to pump oil. Plus, our reserves are full. There's no place to put the oil. There's no place to even sell it to because everything is full. So it doesn't only affect Qatar and Bahrain and Dubai and Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Syria and Libya. It doesn't only affect them. It's Russia. Huge impact on Russia. Russia's economy is built on oil. Okay, so once it drops, all that money that they were used to spending on infrastructure and free this and free that and military and all of that, that money is gone. It's gone. So if you see the same correlation that I'm trying to get, if you're making $50,000 a year and you're spending that money and life is good and everything is cool, then suddenly your income gets cut in half and you go from $50,000 to $25,000 a year, you're going to be affected, aren't you? You got to cut some things out. You got to downgrade. So how does that affect us right now? Well, it could. But let me tell you one thing it has affected. Are you sitting down? Are you listening? Al Jazeera America. That's right. The new network. The new network is shutting down. It's closing its doors this April. And check this. Al Jazeera, the cable news network, Al Jazeera America, had only 40,000 viewers a night. Did you hear what I just said? Al Jazeera America is shutting down. It's closing its doors this April. They only had 40,000 viewers a night. Fade to Black, this show, has more. Much more. But that's not the real story. And that's frightening, isn't it? And you didn't know that. Al Jazeera. But that's not the real story. Al Jazeera is owned by Qatar. And oil is down. Way down. And they cannot afford to prop up a network anymore that is losing money. Their propaganda channel, the Qatar propaganda channel, Al Jazeera, is gone. It is not worth it. It is so bad in Qatar right now because of this oil that that's it. And Al Jazeera was there. Al Jazeera, okay, yeah, they did some news stories once in a while. You know what Al Jazeera was there for? They were there to push the propaganda around about the oil market and oil prices. Al Jazeera pushed so hard the last 3, 4, 5 months for $51 a barrel. You'd see it all the time if you were ever on the network. And trying to plug that into people's minds, trying to swing it around, trying to sway the market. Because Qatar knew they're going broke. And you don't think that they are. They are really feeling the pinch over there. When you start, when oil was $108 a barrel, money's flowing in the street. And you know what? And easy come, easy go. They were spending it like they had it, and they did. They also thought it was going to stay there forever. There was no contingency plans. They didn't have anything in place. But when it was 108 a barrel, what do? Oh, let's go open up a TV network, Al Jazeera. First thing to go, Al Jazeera. So they're shutting down in April. No news about where the staff is going, how they're going to do it, if they're going to, it's not going to be temporary. There's no suggestion that this is a temporary thing and they're going to come back and restart the network later if oil goes back. Right now, the way that the economy is, it's not the economy, but certainly the oil economy, there's a problem. And the problem is this, with Saudi Arabia wanting to, and this is where the conspiracy part of plays into this show. And this news, Saudi Arabia's frame of mind. Now, our big fear is, Saudi Arabia stops producing oil. They cut it back. And OPEC cuts back. And they cut back and then the prices will come back. The cycle of doing that, they cut back, but we have to burn through our reserves. Okay? And that oil has to get turned into gas, and that's got to get into gas stations. The cycle of all of that takes months. This isn't something that just happens overnight. Tankers have to stop traveling across the oceans. It takes a while. And quite frankly, Saudi Arabia can't afford to do that. Now, they're so behind, they're in such a hole that the only way to make up for the losses is to pump more oil. It's cheaper. We got to sell more of it. We got to pump more of it. They've run out of so much money, and they've ran it into the ground so far that they don't have a choice now. They have to produce more. They have to sell more. Going through the cycle, our combating, if they stop producing oil, remember the oil platforms I was talking about, all the rigs off of the coast, Gulf of Mexico, in the Atlantic, Pacific, right off the coast of California. They're all over the place. You just drive out to Pacific Coast Highway, take a look out there, and they're all over the place. They're on the horizon, on the just past the flat Earth, and they're out there. The second that anything, if our reserves deplete or whatever, we're not going to buy more oil from Saudi Arabia. We're not going to do it. We're going to fire up an oil rig or 2 or 3 or 50. So that's where it's at right now. So as long as we're shutting our rigs down, Saudi Arabia is happy with producing more oil. So this $10 a barrel thing, it could be right there. Now, I agree. I agree with everybody that is saying, man, should I do this? Should I really do this right now? We got 2 minutes left. All right, I'm going to do this. Dino, what's up, man? There's 2 minutes left. What's up?
Well, I think it's an interesting topic, very interesting topic, but I think what you're forgetting about perhaps is something's going on if we believe in a conspiracy that makes oil so cheap that it's going to wipe out a lot of the new technology in transportation and biofuels, all the stuff that's coming to the fore now, whether it's better solar. Wonder if this is all going on to kill that stuff off.
No. See, but no. The answer is no, Dino. But actually, you bring up a good point. There's another reason for this. Yes, we're producing more oil. Yes, we're exporting more energy than we're using now here, all of that. But I'll tell you something else that comes into play. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Better gas mileage on our cars, more electric vehicles, more hybrid cars. All of that has reduced our dependency even on our own oil here. We're quite frankly using less. Okay, all those.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That has a big effect on it. And when, just it seems like every car in America right now gets 40 miles to the gallon. And half of all the cars sold are being hybrids. And then another good chunk of it are all electric cars in general. There's less and less, big American V8s that weigh 8 tons. Those cars are gone. There are no H3 Hummers rolling around, bumper to bumper out here anymore. It doesn't exist.
Well, that's interesting. Just real quickly, I'm reading Neil Young's first autobiography from just 2 years ago. He's written another one, and he put a lot of his heart into this Link Volt, which was a 1959 Lincoln Continental,
Yes.
and he said that he believes Americans and the world can drive around in comfortable cars that can do 80, but he converted it to all electric, and he claims it'll do 400 miles, but you get a big, comfortable car.
Yep. And there's a lot to be said for that. And once that technology gets to that point, do we see no, we're never going to see the end of a gas car. We're never going to see the end of V12 Ferraris. They're going to be here 50 years from now, just like they're here today.
You really think so? Because I'm not sure, because when you look at an electric car, I've driven a Tesla and I've driven a BMW i3, and those things will put your stomach into your back. They're quicker than a Porsche.
Yeah, but there is nothing like the sound of an Italian V12.
I have to agree with you. I've got an aftermarket muffler and air filter on my vehicle, and I love the sound.
No, there's nothing that is going to replace, a 302, 5.0 liter, Ford Mustang or a Chevy 350. No.
Dodge Charger, yeah.
No, it ain't going to happen. No, that they will always be around, and there'll always be a way to put gas in those cars. You just have to be able to afford it. But no, they're not going to go away. But right now, transportation is gotten so good, and the technology has gotten so good that our dependence on oil and imports is diminished. If OPEC cut us off tomorrow, I'm telling you right now, Dino, right now, out of my mouth, they cut us off of oil tomorrow, no harm, no foul. Okay?
Yeah, I think today that's true. It wasn't true 10, 20 years ago, but probably today.
No, we could keep on rolling. And so that dependency is gone, and OPEC knows that. That dependency is gone. So that's where it's at. But, Dino, thank you for the phone call, brother. You brought up a really good point. And
all right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
You got it. Anybody that brings up Neil Young at the end of the show is going to get through on the phone lines. But it's really true. Okay, right now, today, and I don't care who you are, you cannot argue with what I am saying. OPEC cuts us off tomorrow at the knees. It don't matter. It just does not matter. Does not matter. We can handle our own business now, and they know that. We are doing them a favor by buying their oil. They can go sell it to China. They can sell it to India, whatever. It don't matter. Okay? They can make their money somewhere else. But for us, if oil imports got cut off, we'd be just fine. And they know it. This is Fade to Black. I love doing this show. I love all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Vic Mignogna. Star Trek continues. Go to the website, StarTrekContinues.com. Click on that donate button. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is by KGRA, The Planet, and TalkNetwork.com. Tomorrow night is Fader Night. We're going to have Ronnie McMullen right here. We're going to talk about Life Change Tea and all of his other products, and we're going to talk some UFOs. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2015 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me right now on Twitter. Email Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Everybody be safe. Go back, Lee Tepe.